Welcome back to Keeping Shit Real by Mrs. Jessie Towns. I am your host, Jessie Towns, and welcome to episode 4 of the Keeping Shit Real podcast. Now, today's podcast I have named A Nice Family Day Out, because when you have neurodivergent children, let's be honest, do we have nice, calm family days out? I think your expectation when you're a parent to a child who is neurodivergent, you have to completely and utterly change your goalpost of what a normal, nice family day out looks like. Now, if you're parents like myself and my husband, who had a neurotypical son, and then we had a big 8-year age gap between the twins and him, and we had a nice ideology of what was a nice family, calm day out, and then bang, the twins have come along, kind of flip that on its head to a certain extent. But I think it's so important for us to be grateful for in the moment of the fact that our lives are what we make of them, but also who gives a shit if your family life looks different to somebody else. Remember, I say this every single week, comparison is the absolute thief of joy. And that is when it can be really, really easy for you as a parent to neurodivergent kids to compare yourself to, other family members, your mates, the shit you see on social media. Because remember, social media, apart from me, I keep my shit real because that is me. I keep my shit real. I say it every single week. For those of you that are in my PDA Parent community, I am quite possibly too honest at the best of times, but I think that is a good trait to have. And also, it prevents you from having an unrealistic expectation of how you expect things to be. I'm going to talk about family days out and just how we end up having to sort of adapt and be flexible and have a different approach, because we want our kids to be able to go out and enjoy nice things. However, that sometimes comes with a lot of expense. You've been somewhere half an hour, your kid starts having a massive meltdown. You think, nah, fuck this, we're going. I can't be doing with this. I'm exhausted. I'm stressed out. So is my child. And you leave. And you know what? That's absolutely fine, because it's not always going to be like that. And it's really important that you remember that some days things will work well. Other days things are not going to work well. And it's a multitude of complexities, I always think. It could be anxiety about finishing school. It could be anxiety about being somewhere busy. It could be coming up to Christmas, because let's be honest, in the next couple of weeks, there's going to be Christmas shit everywhere. The moment Halloween is done and dusted at the end of next week, we are going to have Christmas songs on the telly. We're going to have the unforsaken amount of high Christmas toy adverts on the TV, every other advert. And it can be a lot of things that can really sort of add up to make like days out being difficult. Plus the fact there's also that want that a lot of neurodivergent children, they may really, really want to go and spend a family day out. They obviously, for us, we went to Legoland for the kids' birthdays a couple of weeks ago. And actually, don't get me wrong, we do have a priority ride access pass. And can I just tell you, if you have got neurodivergent children and you live near a Merlin entertainment sort of park, like Legoland, Chessington, Alton Towers, Thorpe Park, they've got thousands of different places. Well, not thousands, probably about 10 different places up and down the UK. You can apply for the Merlin Access Card. Now, Merlin Access Card gives you access. You have to provide documentation. It could be an EHCP, it could be a medical diagnosis, it could be an EP, it could be a OT report, and you apply for it online. And actually, I will put the link for the Merlin Access Card actually in the show notes to this, because if you haven't got it, I am not joking, it has been a fucking godsend. Because let's be honest, neurodivergent kids, they don't want to stand in line, they don't want to queue, especially if somewhere is very busy. Now, we took the boys to Legoland for their 8th birthday, and we generally take the children out of school. I don't care. I'll take them out of school. They'll have a sickness bug on a Friday. That, school policies, they can't go back to school for 72 hours. But this year, their birthday actually fell on a Saturday. So we decided that we were going to take them actually on their birthday. So with the Nimbus and Merlin Access Pass, you have to pre-apply for it before you attend the park. You can't just rock up on the day and expect to sort of be able to book in. Now, there's two really good benefits for it. You will get the Merlin Access Pass, and it'll allow you to a carer, so one person within that party of four, so myself, I didn't have to pay, but also you will then book a day to use the Ride Access Pass once your access card has been authorised. What you can do is once you book your ticket, it's two separate entities. You've got to book the ticket, and then also you have to also book and make sure the date is available for the Ride Access Pass for Merlin. So for Legoland, both were available. We booked it. And then what happens on the day is you load the app via the link that they will send you for the Ride Access Pass. And basically you can book to go on any rides in advance and you don't have to queue. So they have separate lanes for priority access and for normal general light queuing admission. Now, this year, because we went on a Saturday, I'll tell you what, we went last year to Chessington. Chessington was the first time that last year was the first time that we'd applied for it and we got it and we took them for their 7th birthday. Then we went midweek, I think it was a Thursday, and it was great. When we booked the rides, there was only a 10-minute slot difference between able to book them. And I am not joking you. We went on every single ride that the kids wanted to go on with no queuing. Now, last week at Legoland was slightly different. We obviously stupidly went on a Saturday. And this is what I mean. Family days out, you have to be very careful of the time of the year, what days of the week you go in, what time of the days you'll go in. So we went on last Saturday, like I said, and there was because it depends on how busy the park is that will unlock the frequency of how quickly you can book these onto the rides with the priority access. Now, for us, it was very, very busy. It wasn't so busy that the kids were getting freaked out and they were getting annoyed, but there was a 40-minute wait. So yeah, a 40-minute wait between booking rides. And actually, I was thinking, oh my God, the fucking kids are going to lose their mind. But actually, it was actually quite good. We haven't been to Legoland for a really, really long time. I'd probably say we haven't been to Legoland for maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 years. Don't get me wrong. That place needs a facelift. Like, it's quite run down, I would say. But the kids really, really enjoyed it. But what happened, as long as you are quite strategic, you're planning around the park, there's quite a lot of stuff that we were managing to do. So we were booking a ride they really wanted to go on, and then we were finding stuff that didn't have a queue time. So when you get a Merlin pass, you download the app for the park that you're going to. So I don't know, Legoland or Chessington. And it has ride times on every single wait times, on every single ride around the park. So it's quite easy for you to be able to navigate, not in the chaos. Now, the only thing I will say is that, Jesus Christ, food and drink is so expensive there. So expensive. I think it was £25 per person. Per person. This is wild. For the all-you-can-eat pizza and pasta restaurant. And then I think 15 quid per child. We obviously were not cheapskates, but we went, there's a top tip if you go to Legoland, there's a Costa coffee as soon as you walk in, and they do like sausage rolls, sandwiches, they do like baked cookies and stuff, so much cheaper. A sausage roll was £3 and it was massive to sort of stop the kids. That's the other thing, isn't it? On a nice family day out, they want everything, like the Lego shop on the way out. But we'll talk about gift shops on family days out sort of places at the end of this, because that's one of the things that drives me mental. So yeah, it was a really good day. There was obviously a few little bit of meltdowns. It was quite loud in the park. Like I said, it was busy, but it wasn't absolutely rammed. But I will say there's that expectation in the back of my mind. Whenever we go on family days out, we always sort of, and I say this all the time on my Instagram, sorry, I can't speak tonight. Instagram is the biggest plan A is to always have a plan B in case it goes wrong. And that is just, unfortunately, the reality when you've got neurodivergent kids. You do always have to kind of think, right, if this goes horribly wrong and goes tits up, what can we do instead that's not going to make, like, obviously, if you don't know this, one of my twins has got a pathologically demand avoidant profile and he's got high functioning autism. So he suffers from really low self-esteem, and sometimes if we have to leave somewhere, he feels really bad and he gets really sad. Sometimes his behavior can be quite explosive. Other times he just thinks that, he's really worthless and that he can't that he's really useless at stuff. So we always have a plan B. So we had a plan B going to Legoland, and that was to go to Smith and Weston. Don't know if you've ever been to a Smith and Weston, the cowboy themed restaurants, which are pretty wild. But actually, with good planning, we managed to sort of infiltrate actually quite a good day. Now, family days out, nice family days out. If you go into somewhere like that, or I don't know, somewhere, I live in Surrey, so there's like loads of places. There's like Bockett's Farm, there's Chobham Adventure Playground. But you know, the thing that really, really gets on my tits is how they have gift shops on entry points and exit points. So you can't get in the bloody place without going through a shop, and you can't get out of the place without going through a shop. And it's annoying if you've got kids anyway, but if you've got neurodivergent kids and you're having to leave somewhere quite quickly because there's dysregulation, there's meltdowns, you're at your tipping point, your child's at your tipping point, to then have to walk through a gift shop is one of the things that drives me absolutely insane. Legoland, thank God, there is a massive Lego gift shop when you're exiting the park. However, the kids, actually, my in-laws gave the kids some money for their birthday, and we took it with us, and we said that they could buy something. Now, I was actually surprised at how cheap it was at Legoland. I was expecting, like a good markup of about 50%, but actually it was pretty reasonable. And we managed to get the kids in and out the shop in about 15 minutes, and they weren't like running around going mental. And I think that's another thing. When you've got neurodivergent kids and you're in somewhere like this, you need to work individually. Like my husband took one of the twins and I took another one, and we were like, because if they're together, they've got different interests, obviously different kids, they're siblings, but trying to infiltrate around it, we went our separate ways, and we were like, right, once they've made a decision, like there's no sort of backing down. It's like, that's it, we go in now, let's go and pay for it. And it worked really well. But does that get on everybody else's nerves? It drives me mad. And like the other thing with days out, even going to pubs, like why do they put those flipping claw machines, the toy claw machines that they have to put like £2 in, and like, you never ever get a toy from the claw machine. Let's be honest. It's like rocking horse shit, isn't it? Trying to get a toy out of a claw machine. But in terms of, it's really, really worth checking on days out. We've become much better at this, as looking for more places that are more inclusive or that do sort of inclusion days. Obviously, Halloween's on its way. We've got Christmas, obviously very incoming. But we go to RHS Wisley quite a lot, and they do. RHS Wisley is if you've never been there and you're near Surrey, I highly recommend going, because it is so big that if your child doesn't like walking, or they're not capable of walking long distances, definitely take a buggy. But it is so beautiful, and there's so much stuff to go and do. But there's also the most amazing like outdoor play area, and it's got sand, it's got water, it's got so much amazing stuff, and everything's really, really well made and put together, and it's so lovely. But these family days out, some days I look at neurotypical parents with their perfect families, and their kids are all sitting down, eating their packed lunch, doing as they're told. My kids are like running over fucking rose gardens, like throwing sandwiches at each other, rolling around the floor, causing chaos, screaming, crying, kicking. And I sometimes think, do I feel envious? I don't feel envious, but sometimes when it's all sort of kicking off, it's a really, really normal, I think, emotional reaction to think like, I wish we could have that sort of norm. What I'm really getting at this week is, it's about your mindset, and it's all about your family is your family, and they're inclusive, and they're different because they're ours, and that's nothing to compare yourself to, because behind closed doors, those perfect families, they ain't perfect. No one's perfect. Let's be honest here, guys and girls. No one's perfect, and their children are probably spoiled little brats, but maybe on that split second that you've seen them on that family day out, they haven't been. But don't compare yourself, because there are also days when you'll go out and days do go our way, and days can be fine. I went to sort of ascend inclusive, like summer festival thing in the summer with the kids. And it was an absolute nightmare. And I think when you become a parent with neurodivergent kids, you know your kids better than anybody else. And actually the morning of it, my PDA, he was just having a really bad day. There was nothing that really even triggered it, but I was like, no, let's go. It'll be really great. Let's go. We drove for 2 hours. We got there, and I don't know whether it was the car journey that kind of tipped him over the edge, but it was just a nightmare. I think we ended up being there for probably about an hour and 20. And it was really sad because it was somewhere that I really wanted him to go. But for him, I think he found it so inclusive that I think he found it really difficult I think he felt that it was a place full of other children, and he didn't quite. I just don't think he really knew what to make of it. So maybe it was quite a bit. It was maybe quite a bit of a learning point for me that, apart from when he's at his school, because he's obviously at a specialist school, that actually maybe we should be spending more time with children that are neurodivergent also, so that he understands that he is different. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with being different. But it was all really, really overwhelming for him. And we ended up leaving, after about an hour and 10 minutes. I mustn't, and again, a gift shop on the way out, tipped him over the edge, ended up buying about 25 quid's worth of tat. But I wanted to take him there to see, just to try and enjoy it. But unfortunately, just for that day, it just wasn't working for us. So instead of dragging them around, even though I'd sort of driven for 2 hours one way, I just thought, you know what? I don't care. We're just going to go. And that is, in that moment, there's nothing wrong, and it's not your parenting. It's got nothing to do with you. It's just some days our children, they just can't cope with anything, and it might be a bad night's sleep. I think this was quite close to them going back to school. So I think there was quite a lot of sort of anxiety around going back to school. I'd obviously had 6 or 7 weeks off for the summer, and there was quite a lot of anxiety about going back to school and what that was going to look like for him, even though, he's been at his specialist school now for over a year. But also, the other thing with days out, and I don't know if anybody else finds this, do you not just so sick of the absolute shite food that they provide? And I find that's not a really inclusive thing also. And we all know that autism, it's a genetic condition, but I also find that there are some foods, there are some drinks that can also heighten his behaviour. And I always find it really mind-blowing that these sort of places always have the biggest pile of shite for kids to eat. Everything's like fake, everything's, like chips, fizzy drinks. And I always find that quite hilarious, because then they wonder why kids are then running around screaming, losing their heads. And I also wanted to say that when you are sort of on a day out, not even a proper day out, but the amount of like sweets and stuff, like trying to navigate going out with a child who's neurodivergent, the amount of sweets that are at tills, it causes absolute chaos. And I know it's a marketing ploy for like big supermarkets, but it's just something else. You think, oh God, I've got to swerve that place. Got to swerve the coffee. Got to swerve the coffee, swerve the cafe, because God help me if we get caught up going through the Morrison's calf, there is going to be absolutely nothing for them to do apart from wanting to drink fizzy drinks and eat loads of cakes. But one of the things for, days out that I still quite often actually do struggle with, and that can be the constant looks when you are out with your children. I think it doesn't matter how big that sunflower lanyard is, but I do find that just the general public can be massive arseholes sometimes. It doesn't matter if a child is wearing a sunflower lanyard or not. Don't be a dick. If a child is having a massive meltdown, don't be judging, tutting at the parents. Don't be a dick. If a child is swearing, maybe a child is hitting. If a parent is apologising profusely, there's nothing worse than another parent having a go. I mean, I just find that I don't think it's an unreasonable thing to say, but just don't be a dick. And I will say the one thing that has completely changed my whole sort of the way I look at everything is the fact that since I've had, well, I wasn't a dick anyway, but before I had my obviously neurodivergent boys, was the lack of, now I just the lack of being judgy. All kids really, really suffer, from meltdowns, kids are kids, that's what they do. But when it's parents that are being dicks and are like throwing judgment at parents and like tutting, moving their children away, it makes parents to neurodivergent kids feel like absolute shit. And I ain't got the time for that. And if you are a neurotypical parent listening to this, please think wisely about that child that might be in the playground or the fun part that's having the meltdown and might be screaming and shouting and hitting their parent. Don't just assume that they're spoiled, because actually behavior is a form of communication, and it might be overwhelming. It might be that they have autism, that they've got a silent disability, and we basically don't need dicks like you judging and making us as parents feel even more shit than what we probably already do. So that is it this week. But again, I'm going to keep on talking about it every single time. If you have got a child who's got PDA, you need to join the PDA Parent Circle Community, because I am telling you, my tribe of parents are the fucking best. There is live trainings, there's resources, there's packs, there's stuff you can download, there's a group chat. Everybody who's in the PDA Parent Circle, any workshops, the Shelf Help Book Club is automatically included in your membership. It's £17 a month. But also, if you think that's too much, then please, please, please join the Shelf Help Book Club. Next month, we are doing Rhonda Byrne's The Magic, which is a 28-day gratitude journey. And I am not joking you, this shit will change your life. And it's changed mine. Loads of mad things have happened. I became pregnant with twins after years of trying. I got nearly £10,000 in a PPI refund. Max's specialist school got named. It is a powerful, powerful gratitude journey if you put the hard work in. It's only 28 days and it will change your life. I will put the link in the show notes. And come and join us. The Shelf Help Book Club is a book car. I can't get my words out tonight. I'm so sorry, guys. Is a podcast guided book club. Now, for the magic, there'll be a daily podcast that will be dropped, because every single day for 28 days, there is a different task for us to complete. Apart from that, the podcast, when the Shelf Help Podcast Book Club will be every week or a couple of times a week, there will be a book that will be chosen once a month, and I will be podcasting it. You are free to read along if you want, but it's a really great way to take actionable steps so that we can make our lives a bit better. And every single month, there'll be a different sort of theme. I don't want it to be all doom and gloom, because let's be honest, facing the government, your local authority, EHCPs, education settings, like, we need a bit of positivity in our goddamn life. And that is what I'm going to bring with the Shelf Out Book Club. Come and join me on the Patreon. Again, it'll be in the show notes, and come and try it. It's £8 a month, but for 7 days, you get a free trial. So if you're thinking, nah, don't know if this is for me, come and join for free on the 7-day trial on the 1st of November. Try the Shelf Up Book Club, because it will change your life. Right. That is it. That is me done and dusted for another week. It would really mean a lot if you can download, subscribe, rate and review the podcast, Keeping Shit Real. It would mean a lot to me. It really helps gets my ratings up on Apple, on Spotify, on Amazon and YouTube. So take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.